Save
the
date.
The date. Yo,
Save. What's up, guys? Welcome to Save the Date. I'm one of your hosts, Heath.
DJ Heath today over there.
Yeah.
With your
I'm a
Biz
ones and
Markie
two.
vibes.
Mm-hmm.
What's good, everybody? This is Jamie, yo. How y'all feeling?
Yeah. Before we get started with today's episode, follow us at Save the Date Now. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're actually thinking about doing a LinkedIn page. I feel it would be
And
better
X.
for us. Yeah, X and LinkedIn. So coming off of Graham and really doing X and LinkedIn as more of a way to keep a consistent cadence with individuals that we're targeting with this podcast, and we feel is a big part of our listenership. So let us know if you think that. You can TikTok us. That's the best way to reach us, and let us know. With that said, let's get into today's episode, the importance of friendship and romantic relationships, why great partnerships often begin with friendships.
That's a hot take in and of itself.
Oh, yeah. Because what we often rely on in modern romance literature and in thinking is the chemistry has to be there. And how do you have chemistry with your friend?
Yeah.
Especially if it's sexual chemistry. How do I get sexual chemistry with a friend?
Even though most friendships do have that. You're choosing.
Yes. There's a hot take because even my boy Mike, Almighty 1 talked about this years ago, that all friendships have maybe a seed of attraction in them, that you're attracted to the person. Now, attraction isn't always sexual. Just like Marley from the Wing Girl Method, shout out to her. I went through her system, started going through her system. And when she talks about, you should always be flirting. Now, not all flirting is sexual, but you should be flirting all the time because that witty banter, that ability to lightly touch and engage people is just really a cheat code for establishing relationships, forging friendships, in some cases, building romantic attraction.
Yeah, it definitely adds value to your profile.
It does, yeah. When you know how to flirt, yeah. And I've seen people who do that and they actually end up getting free things from coworkers or vendors.
Invited more places.
Absolutely. That people want to be around them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for this particular topic, we're just not talking about, we've talked about this for friendships, but we've talked about the importance of, friendships as someone who is a friend with you, advising you in your relationship. We've talked about intergender friendships. If you're a male, a heterosexual relationship, having a woman as a friend, vice versa, woman for a man. But this one's talking about friendship as a step towards a thriving romantic partnership, a friendship as a step. As step numero uno. And it's awkward because there's two ways this can happen. One, you could purposely say, hey, I'm attracted to you. Let's really keep this in friendship mode as much as possible as we slowly build a crescendo to romance. The other path, typical for people, and you see this in rom-coms and romantic comedies, is we're just friends. No, we're just friends. No, we're just friends. And all of a sudden you see that person with someone else, you get jealous, or you see that person with someone else, vice versa, they get jealous, and all of a sudden they end up together. I'm thinking of the movie Brown Sugar with Taye Diggs.
Sanaa
Lathan. And they were friends, but it blossomed into something else. And it was always there since they were kids. They always wanted to be together. I don't say they always wanted to be together, but they
always had that seed of attraction, like you're talking about.
So let's talk about this. Why is it that friendships are a credible path to partnerships? Number one, I would argue that you learn about the other person. Oftentimes, when relationships that are just built off sexual chemistry and romantic high and romantic love, people aren't interested necessarily in learning the other person. They think they are, but what they're really caught up is in the high and in being the responsiveness to what the feeling is at that moment, which is you're really into each other. Oh, you're so incredible. I'm so incredible. And you're letting that almost adrenaline of that relationship drive the connection. When you're talking about friendships and starting off with a friendship, you really are getting to learn the other person. You're taking time. Time is moving slow, and so is your analysis and your ability to remember, categorize, and collect information about that person so that you can better serve them as a friend. And to me, that is the basis of a thriving relationship, regardless of what the end goal is. It's to ultimately be able to, as I've said on this podcast before, and we've said, anticipate needs. And you get that way oftentimes more in a friendship than you do in a romantic relationship, as I said before, because you are purposely learning how to be in this space with the person, how to share your space and learning how they share theirs so that you guys can have a thriving friendship. So that would be number one for me, is that's the benefit of going that route. You have, now I'll say this, the long-term impact or the long-term benefit or effect of that is, as you guys end up in a relationship and you go the long distance, you go the story, we 50, 60 years, you're on today's show. Well, they've been married since 19 something, and it's 2080. If you want to be that story, what keeps you there is that friendship. What keeps you there is that regard. What keeps you there is that ability to always honor and put the other person's dignity first, no matter what. And friendships are just a great way to do that, man. Friendships are just a great way to do that. I find sometimes with the romantic relationships, I'm very much driven by satiating my desire for what I think that romance should be. I'm not necessarily going into the friendship mode or learning about your mode. I am now just trying to, see how far I can take this romantic friendship. And it's not just about the sex. It just may be about the vibes this person does for me, the status of this person, the head game.
I honestly feel like a lot of relationships are friendships with benefits. And
Really?
I say it that way because, well, let me say I feel like they should be friendships with benefits. Because I think, really, to your point, every significant relationship starts with a friendship, with just getting to know somebody. Set pressure for meeting a specific standard. You know what I mean? It's just we both come into the table as is. You're who you are. I am who I am. We're getting to know each other and we're building. But to your point, it's like the issue happens when people feel like that chemistry is what's driving the romance. And that's what they base their relationship on. I personally feel like every long-term relationship I know, they started as friends. To your point, like what you was just saying, those people that last 30, 40, 50 years, that's what keeps them together, is that they were friends first. Now listen, they recognized that they were romantic feelings.
But for some reason, it couldn't culminate. So they kept, yes.
No. They explored that while they were friends, but it's not like they based their relationship on the romantic feelings. They sought what came out of their friendship as like a reflection of the friendship. So they never had to change the structure of it and call it a romantic relationship, which I think that to me is what the issue is like we're valuing romance and feelings and trying to build relationships on that when it's like, that's flimsy. Feelings come and go. That's why you hear a lot of people are just like, what we talked about the last episode is when the spark goes, the love is gone. When it's like, that's not necessarily the case, because if y'all were friends this whole time and really got to know each other, y'all would know, man, this is just an ebb and flow of a relationship. When you know a person, you're not necessarily as ticked and triggered by some of the things that they go through because you've learned to accept them. A lot of that happens in friendship.
I agree. The high of the moment is not seducing everyone into a false sense of what this relationship is or what this dynamic is. To what you're saying, the spark. I call it the high because it functions, like I just mentioned earlier, as like adrenaline, and it's not driving people into these crazy outcomes or driving their crazy demands. As I mentioned earlier, it's very common for us to lie to ourselves or to ignore the fact that when we are with a person and it's romantic, we are utilizing that relationship, that dynamic, to satiate, as I mentioned earlier, our desires or what our agenda is, our expectation. And it's okay to have expectations. It's okay to have desires. This is who we are. The problem emerges when you start relying on what you want to drive what's happening between you and the other person. You're not listening or sharing with them what you expect or desire and having a conversation about what they expect and desire. I believe that gets mitigated with friendship. With friendship, you're doing more of a dance and you're learning how to be together well and in a healthy way. And that's what helps the long-term relationship blossom. So my big thing with people with this whole idea of friendship to partnership is you have to, this is number 2 for me, you have to deal with your bias about friendship. I remember when I was younger, and you talk about getting with a girl that you liked and she knew you, and maybe you guys have talked and you know, it's platonic, but you're rapping and there's something there. She knows there's something there, or maybe you know there's something there. And then you say, yo, let's try and take this up another notch. And she says, but I don't want to ruin the friendship. I don't want to ruin the friendship. Oh, you're a really good friend to me and I don't want to lose you. It gets complicated and it gets weird. And I believe many of us operate under that bias, that the friendship is pure and the romantic relationship is evil. And we think that way because a lot of times we get into these romantic relationships and we become evil. As I just mentioned, place our expectations on people. We demand things out of them. We rely on them to meet our needs. When there's some of those needs, we have to rely on ourselves to meet. Bunch of issues start. Bunch of tapes start playing. Music starts blaring out that boombox. And it ain't all danceable music or suitable music for that relationship. So I think you have to get rid of the bias and really look at friendship as a gateway to romantic relationship. One of the discussions that Jay and I had when we started this, rebranded this podcast to Save the Date, was to talk about the importance of connection. And we're using this phrase, I've been tossing this out, connection in the age of disconnection. We said in the 80s and the 90s when we were coming up, whether it's through your aunts, your uncles, or maybe there were older peers in your relationship, in your circle, cousins who were dating, you saw people date and then become friends, break up. They stayed cordial. Oh, so-and-so I used to date. He works here now. He got me into this club. Or so-and-so I used to talk about. She got me. She introduced me to so-and-so. There was friendships that came out of dating somebody. Sometimes the dating was casual. Sometimes the dating was a little intentional. And then sometimes it was really serious. And some of those, sometimes depending on how they ended, didn't end well. But in general, dating was a pathway to find friends. People would do things for each other. This other person would become a node in that person's network, and they could rely on them for information, opportunities, resources, recommendations, referrals. And all that seems to be missing in our modern day dating culture, where dating is so agenda focused and so expectation driven that the opportunity to let a relationship blossom on its own, whether it blossoms to a friendship or blossoms into something more serious and deeply romantic, is not there. It's lacking because we are now driven by the way we want to customize our lives. And then, as we said before in the podcast, you want to customize someone else's. So this is important for me, for us to debias ourselves around friendship and start seeing dating and what we're doing out there when we meet people as an opportunity to build friendships, even associates. And I mean, associates are friends, in my opinion. They're just maybe, not deep friends, because they ultimately connect you. I had a friend who says when he talks to a girl, he'll say, yo, listen, we're talking, we're getting along. But at the end of the day, for all I know, we don't work out, but you introduced me to my wife and I introduced you to your husband just because we're flowing like that. And we know each other and we spent time with each other, getting to know each other, having fun on the phone and becoming acclimated and acquainted with each other. This is a 47-year-old man saying that. That's a similar mark in the side of when it comes to partnering and learning about people and ultimately building friendships.
That's why I would kind of say, to your point about somebody friend zoning you, I think that that's a reflection of a few things. One, I think they don't really view you as a friend. Two, I think that they're communicating that they're not really into you. Yeah, I think it's or just if it's really genuine. But I think sometimes that's the problem when we use these terms, because, like I said, I'm coming from the school of thought that like everything flows from a friendship. So dating should flow from, like, if we're really friends and you know who I am as a person, I should be a viable candidate for you to date if you really know me. And if you really mess with me like that and you got me in your circle, I should be a viable candidate for you to date. So if you tell me when I come to you and I say, hey, I feel like we should take this to the next level, and you're like, I don't want to mess up the friendship, you don't really see me as a friend. Just tell me there's someone else that you want or something like that. Cause again, I feel like, to your point about how we saw things coming up, like my older cousins, really, their dating pool was really friends, people who they were cool with at school, at church, like whatever community thing they were doing. A lot of them, just their friend groups served as their dating pool. So like you said, if things didn't work out when we were dating, I could still hook you up with a friend and y'all end up doing whatever. Or I could refer you for a job because I just, you know what I'm saying, I mess with your character. Like, for whatever reason, it didn't work out for us. Okay, cool. But I know you're not a bad person. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that friend zone thing is a little iffy, especially if it's really not a real friendship. If you really haven't taken the time to establish this firm foundation and really get to know this person and really learn to accept them and learn to respect them and what love for them looks like. Not romantic love, but just who they are as a person, how they need to be loved. You know how to show up for them. They know how to show up for you. Like, if all of these things are in place, that person, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that person should, if there's an attraction there, also a physical attraction, you should see some kind of potential for something long term.
Well, you just mentioned physical attraction. Sometimes the friend zone is a polite way of
Of
saying,
saying,
no, thank you.
okay. So that's what I'm saying. They saying that they're not really into you like that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Exactly. No
Even
menus.
though emotionally y'all might get along well, y'all might have the same values or y'all vibe over the same things, but like you're saying, it's just that physical attraction is not there, so they just like, all right,
Yeah, not for me.
let's pump the brakes on that.
Absolutely. But I agree with you when you talked about your cousins, and that's what the statement I was making earlier. I'm glad you came along and doubled down on that, because we miss out on that. And it's unheard of, at least from what I see in modern dating culture as we age. Now, it may be happening on the high school level or the early college level, but in most of our modern dating, a lot of it is so much agenda driven because of the devices we use. They are designed to be agenda driven. Filters, buttons, features, swipes. I mean, these are
what I
all,
can get out of it.
this is all about following what I want to see in this catalog, what needs to be there for me, and what I like. Because if I like J. Crew, you better not be showing me, KB Toy Store. And if I like KB's Toy Store, you better not be showing me, The Gap. I want to keep the catalog within my range of interests, tastes, and desires. And I'm on here for an agenda. I'm not on here to meet any friends. Now, you see Bumble, some of the apps are open to that, but I don't know what the utilization rates around that particular outcome is.
It's just been nastied out. It's just people are meeting under friendships and still going to smash.
Yeah,
and do all the
exactly,
other stuff too.
exactly. Filthy.
You know what I'm saying? That's all it is.
Yeah. We're going to be filthy regardless. And that's why I have stressed people meeting people through friends. I've done some light touch matchmaking. It's worked out for people who I've done it for. I like matchmaking a lot because I love the opportunity to connect people within my cipher who really may be able to build a long-lasting relationship together. And both couples that I officially did through this one path of just trusting God and listening to the Holy Spirit, they're both getting, one's already married, the other getting married soon.
God ain't tell you nothing about me, huh?
So about friendships, huh? Okay. Yeah, you know what? Good podcast. I'm going to end early tonight. But you know what? It's funny. Offline, I did see somebody recently that I thought about you. I'm going to tell you this crazy story.
Boy.
So I'm so glad you brought that up, because there was a crazy opportunity that I'm still going to look into pursuing. I'll give you more details about it in a minute. But I want people to also just look into that. Speaking of matchmaking, leveraging your friendship network to do it like we used to do it in the 80s and the 90s to meet people is going to be very important. I believe in this age, everyone seems to be exhausted with the apps. Not so much that they've been ineffective in meeting people, but ineffective in meeting the right people that matter to them or could be potentially helpful to them. And I honestly believe when you meet in person through other friends or through your network, you're able to drop your guard on what you expect and want in the situation. Nothing wrong with what you expect or want, but sometimes what we expect or want actually is an impediment to us moving forward with what we need.
Yeah. There's some due diligence that's been done. There's like some already front end vetting that's already in place when you meet people through people you know. So yeah, you are more inclined to let your hair down and let people see you be silly, and you know what I mean? All of the things that we talked about draw people in and show that charisma, always be flirting. You can do that when, you know what I mean? Such and such, my friend got this guy over. We all here watching, reruns of Insecure, and she knows him from church. So it's like, I don't have to act like, I don't got to be all buttoned up around him. You know what I mean? And we're having charcuterie and wine. So, you know what I mean? It's already a light, chill atmosphere. So let me just go and have a good time. And you end up talking and, you're
vibing.
But if it's like a speed dating event, you feel like you got to come and
perform
with your armor on.
Exactly.
Well, all of these conversations are cold. I don't know these people. They don't know me. There's no,
and I got to impress you.
Rules that's been laid down is just
If the point of speed dating,
you,
right? Because if the point of speed dating, someone say, "Okay, I'm good here," for that person to stop and just want to talk to you, or you get a card or a number, you're tossing out the big guns. So I make $400K a year. I work for Solomon and Solomon, a law firm. I just made partner. I am thinking about clopping an Airstream and doing some hiking, along some camping.
Oh yeah, let me take his name tag off. You want to get out of here right now?
Exactly. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get someone to say, "Hey, listen, somebody who looks good to you across the desk or the table and you're saying, oh, dang, so I really got to be out here. But yeah, me and Denzel, we've done some acting together. I was in Shakespeare in the Park in a little country called Burma. Denzel came out there and coached us. No, it wasn't filmed or anything like that. You'd have to be in Burma. There's one park to see it. It's like, all right,
man,
you're tossing out everything. Okinawa, Japan, hiked through all the city. Hiked through that. Hot springs. Did the Samurai Showdown workout. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's 500 push-ups, 500 pull-ups.
You have to climb Mount Everest in just 3 days. I don't know if
exactly.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Guinness Book of Records for this.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. I owned a toilet tissue company in Slovenia for a little bit. Did some good numbers. Sold it for 10x, multiple. Yeah, I mean, you're just going on and on and on.
Yeah. Oh no, my G5. I had to sell that last year. I'm into a G5 now. Yeah, me and Sean Carter sometimes we play golf. It's like, yo, come on.
Yeah, I'm part of that walking crew that he has with the billionaires. You've seen me in the back there. They had me hold the camera. They thought I was a camera guy, but hey, I was just being nice because no one else wanted to hold the camera for.
That's what you have to do. You gotta spend the.
You got to perform.
Bro.
Yeah, you got to be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm lifting about 485, 505 bench press like Ron Simmons. Yeah, come on, guys. It doesn't really hold water for you to be yourself. Now, maybe all those accolades you listed are your achievements and accomplishments. But are they you? Meaning those achievements and accomplishments came from you. A certain emotional disposition you have, a certain character you display, desires that you had, dreams, and they all come from you. How are you communicating you to that person without necessarily letting your achievements do all the heavy lifting?
And what do those achievements really reflect?
Because are they getting back to you?
Yeah.
Because what you're not saying is, hey, you have an issue sometimes farting at night. You make silly faces and silly character noises. You know what I mean? Your favorite cartoons, Inspector Gadget, and you watch reruns at night almost every night because you love you're not getting to your quirky, weird side like Inspector Gadget every night.
Or you find out.
Yeah, you know what, sir? Actually, I'll put the name tag back on.
I'm back in the speed dating.
Yeah. Because you're too weird for me.
Like,
but
or just or you may find out that this person overachieves because of an abandonment issue they have, and then you realize why they have all of these accolades because they've been trying to keep all these people in their life for so long, and these relationships
chasing the hug. You know
what I mean?
Chasing the hug.
And then you're like, oh, I mean, I'm impressed by what they've done, but do I really want to put my hat in that ring? You know what I mean? Like, do I really want to become a part of this hamster wheel? Because what if in the next month I realize like we don't have that much in common, and it's like he becomes a stalker, or it's like now I got this man. I done spent the whole month getting to know this person, and I really felt like on the front end, like they told me what it was about, but I was just like, oh man, all of these accolades, let me. And I mean, I really didn't sign up for this. Yeah, so
it was something else for me. And again, it's important for you to be yourself. And friendship environments and friendships allow you to be yourself. And I think that's honestly the takeaway from today's episode. Place yourself in environments where you could be uniquely, dogmatically, authentically yourself. And friendships usually, typically and historically, are the best context for you to be yourself. And that's why we advocate for friendships as a departure point for romance, because you're able to, not only navigate through other people's BS, but more importantly, and I do mean more importantly, navigate through your own. Because even for me, I could see myself easily, if I was single at this point, performing, especially if I think I got what you want. And so I'm definitely going to turn up the volume because maybe there's something you got I want. Mm-hmm. Everything from what that mouth do to, oh, yo, this is the kind of chick I want to be seen with. I'm gonna show her off to my homeboys because they're gonna see, look what I'm dealing with and styling with today. Or somebody I know who's just gonna be down to take my phone call 2 a.m. every Tuesday and Thursday, no matter what, and let me come over and smash and leave. You got that kind of personality, or I think you do. So I'm gonna start testing the waters and seeing where the ice is weak, so I can pierce on through. That's some of the reasons people, Some people do that not because you're good looking or this. I just know you're the kind of person that is going to put up with my nonsense.
I can get what I want out of this, period.
So again, very expectation driven, agenda driven, whereas friendships over time, you're going to see couldn't do that. Or that is for me. Either way, you're in a better position to be yourself and navigate through some of the issues that you have and some of the issues that are going to be brought to your doorstep.
Damn, bro. I mean, it really just became crystal clear to me that chasing romantic relationships is really just trying to acquire an agenda.
Of course, your own. You're trying to fulfill your own agenda, and then some people are fulfilling their agenda with you. Sometimes they're trumping, I can't use that term now, trumping that agenda, trumping your agenda because they're more charismatic, they're more adept at being manipulative, they know how to position themselves emotionally to pull on certain emotional triggers or set off triggers that you have, so then you capitulate to them. It becomes this Machiavellian geopolitical Zygmunt Brzezinski game.
Yeah.
Zygmunt Brzezinski game, or the grand chessboard. He was talking about geopolitics. We're talking about the real political game, which is issues of the heart, matters of the
Yeah.
heart.
For real. For real. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls. I mean, listen, yo, bro, I feel like this needs to be a PSA. If someone is not willing to explore friendship with you, to really get to know you, and they just want to date you and be romantically involved, protect your heart.
Yeah. You just don't know. I mean, it's a gamble, right? I mean, you can go to Las Vegas and walk out with $30K. You can go to Las Vegas and be sent out in the alley like, hey, listen, now you owe us some money. You can pay it by the end of the day, or we can pay you a visit. Either way, something's getting paid.
The debt is
It's
getting
getting either way.
Either way. We could
Either
do this
way.
easy, or we could do this real easy. It's up to you.
So, right, it's the same thing happening in relationships, the same thing happening in the dating game. You're going after this romantic love to capture these feelings, or to, be seen with a person, or you don't want to be the only person not in a relationship in your clique or in your cipher. Okay, it could work out where, oh snap, I was doing it, but it still worked out. Me and this person are great together. I'm so grateful, and you're able to heal and move past. We're saying, what are the odds that's going to happen? Hence the Las Vegas analogy and the illustration.
Yeah.
What if you hit snake eyes and you pushed all your chips into the table?
And a lot of times people end up feeling like that because they felt like this spark was so big and so bright and so large and so electric that they just ran with it.
I couldn't be the only one in my crew who doesn't have. I couldn't be the only one in my crew with low body count numbers. I couldn't be the only one. I couldn't be the only one. I couldn't be the only one. What is that? Desperation. And as they once said in the Ninja Scroll cartoon, necessity leads to strange bedfellows.
Mm-hmm. Dakuan.
Yeah, he said that. Necessity leads to strange bedfellows, but so does desperation. So take your time and build the friendships that you need to build. A, to meet people, or B, just to vibe and connect. There's nothing wrong with meeting people. We're just saying there's a better path than typically just putting your agenda on somebody, or putting your agenda on a relationship, putting a 400-pound gorilla, 800-pound gorilla on a 20-pound pedestal. What do you think is going to happen? It's going to crack, break. And on that note, guys, this has been great. Another episode. Save the date. Follow us on Save the Date Now at Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And until next time, I'm Heath.
I'm Jamie, y'all. Friends first.
Friends first. Take care.
Peace.